So what's the deal out there? Let's see right here. Just waiting. Get a couple people in here. Malik, that was quite a class yesterday that we had. I don't know. We got a chance to check that one out. Did you get a chance to check that last live, or was you on? Was you on when we was here? We had some history yesterday. Did you get a chance to check that out, Malik? See right here, we got on the screen. This is from the Steph Soul. This is from the fire alarm video. We're gonna pick up where we left off yesterday. We're just waiting for a few minutes, a few more people to come in. Yeah, X unknown. Did you get a chance to check that one out? Steph Soul, I remember seeing you in the room there. Yeah, that was one of those ones, man. That was one of those ones where you you gotta, for some things, man, you gotta be there. You know what I'm saying? That's the benefit of actually being here. That type of history that was being discussed yesterday, you know, uh, that's not necessarily going to come out just on the internet when I'm just discussing whatever. That's some things. But oh yeah, now it's going to be difficult to review it now because I took it down. But Steph, so what was what did you think about the documentary? What was your initial thoughts about it when you first saw it? uh, main question watching it was, where did he get his information from about Allah? I mean, yeah, that was some of the stuff that we was discussing yesterday. In terms of in terms of the accuracy of some of his statements and just the balance in terms of you being a documentarian, as opposed to, see, like with my channel, this is editorial. This is commentary. See, like I tell people, look, I'm not biased, right? This is a channel about 5%, and I'm 5%. So you don't come here to hear about how bad the guys is. You want to hear about how, all the brothers is devils. There's nothing but negativity going on at the school and the rallies. So you want to hear that, go to Facebook. But, if you're going to, present a whole documentary like that, then you kind of got to be balanced. Like I said, if you, well, I got to maybe about 2 hours in. And at that point, I noticed he started, having a little more, other points of view in there. Uh, but there's that. Abdul Rahman. See, Asia, peace with science. Abdul Rahman, I'm not sure. This today's, what the last 2 days, I'm not sure these was for you. So we dealing, you trying to get me to come in minds. We're dealing with some highly mathematical concepts. Son of love, Jess. Towards the end of it, he starts to bear witness to his power and how the Muslims even wanted to recruit him back because he has so many recruits. Well, I didn't get to that part. I didn't get to the part where the Muslims wanted to recruit him back. What I saw so far, right? He was, starting to bear witness to his power. I did denounce to that, but you know, uh, it's well, here's an example. He was kind of acknowledging Allah's power as a politician. And see, while Allah worked with politicians and he uh, accomplished things in the political sphere, he used the political apparatus to our benefit, right? I would not say he was a politician. But I did start to see that. Just we're gonna, hopefully we'll get to those parts. Right now, like I said, the main thing is that he's trying to tell a story of how he feels about the NOI. right? And what he feels is their relationship to what happened to Malcolm, you know, and he's kind of just using Allah as a pawn in that story. You know, he said, "How is Shah God doing?" Which Shah God you talking about? Step. So right, he said he visited his school. Now look, there was that segment was in the documentary, so I don't doubt that he visited the school. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta uh, not just to see the Lord's power, but anybody. You gotta kind of look at the fruit. What was the impact that he had, or that the person has. And so, even in the part that I saw, like you said, where he was starting to build witness to his power, it was all stuff that happened in the 60s. See, that was, a part of the impact, right? But when you kind of leave out what's happening right now, then you miss a big part of it, which is that he chose to teach babies, right? So the impact is not going to be seen for decades. See, this is now where, look, we load up guns and we go down to wherever the spot, and we bang out, and there's a winner and a loser in this battle. This was, this is a signs of laying down a blueprint for success, right? For young brothers and sisters, which comes to kind of the title today, right? Showing improvement. You know, uh, because that was kind of the brother yesterday. I didn't really get a chance to build with him, but you know, coming to understanding, right? Like, what is the difference, right, between uh, what is the difference between a dream and a plane? What is the difference between fantasy and reality? He said the streets will paint the picture for those of the 85%, but we can't take the commentary for the truth. I've seen people compliment him on the content, and I'm like, is this happening? Now look, Steph, so I do that, right? I see what you're saying, right? Wait, I read the comments on stuff like that. You know, I don't know uh how y'all gonna feel about me. You know what I'm saying? When I let you know that, see, I look at the comments, right? And I don't say nothing to the person, but I observe, you know, like I saw like, oh, you approved of that. I just, so next time, and just from now on, I know where I know who's who. And I'm glad. That's one thing that happened with the internet, at least from my perspective, is that I got to know sides of people that I didn't know existed. Like people that you only see them at the cipher, right? Or you only see them, at the rally or whatever, and then I see your Facebook page and shit. I'm like, whoa. This is the type of stuff you into. Shit, that's something else. But yeah, I do that on, I don't know if y'all consider that diabolical, but yeah. Like a lot of times to me, that's more valuable than the person who says something stupid. Is the people that condone that shit. See, that's who I really wanted. Because most of the time somebody say something stupid, you already knew that they was like that. See, when you look down and you see all the people saying amen to whatever is that crazy stuff they said, then yeah. I'm said nothing about it a minute ago, but he was on there. Can I get you having? Probably talking about yeah, I mean, God is good. If you met him a minute ago, I don't, whatever. I don't know how you know. You're a little bit crazy. You said you got to come up to the school, ain't been in a minute. Who's teaching Saturday? Nah, you ain't need to come up here. See, look, when you go into a school, you need to be qualified. Like, see, if you in elementary, you don't just show up at Harvard. If you in junior high school, you don't just show up at Crenshaw High. You got to deal with the prerequisite. See, stop acting like this is a game that we playing, man. This is a school. Abdul Rahman said imagination is the difference. No, imagination is not the difference. I don't know if y'all, that question wasn't rhetorical. I don't know. Did y'all catch that again? What is the difference between fantasy and reality? The difference between a dream and a goal. You say, I used to build up there at the school when I left the nation. You never left the nation. See, first of all, what happened? You see, this is what I keep listening, man. I said, you know, I have my things I say about they ain't know why, but those are my brothers. So what happened with you over there? If you got kicked out over there, what would you come over here for? Why you decide to leave over there and come over here? Why? Because you think it's loose over here? We don't have no discipline? Because you could do shit, you think you could do shit over here, you can't do over there? What you come over here for? That's everybody's story. You didn't even cut the mustard where you was at. So then you think you could do this? If you didn't have the discipline to be over there, you don't have discipline to be over here. Trust me. So no one knows what is the difference between. This is amazing. We have only one comment so far, and what is the difference between fantasy and reality, a dream and a goal? You said I was never kicked out. See, I didn't say you was kicked out. you see, you see. I said what happened. I started not following the concept of God being God in person, and I wasn't at classes out. I left. Okay, so what you're saying is you don't bear witness that far is love. So that's why you left the mosque, right? You see, uh, that doesn't make you qualified to be over here because see, here's the thing. You got people that's Sunni Muslim now, right? That stop following the concept of God being God in person. I never understood God coming in person of God, but I love the teachings of Elijah. I mean, like I said, this is not qualifications to, uh, be one of us. The brother who made this documentary that we've been watching. We were about to watch. We watched some of it yesterday. He would fit the same description that you're saying. He loves the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. He just doesn't feel that the NOI ever lived them out, or that the leadership of it, at least the people who had the power, didn't live it out. So Sharon Love said, "Fantasy is like a dream; goals are reality." I mean, that's a little bit circular right there. You know, uh, I used all those words. I said, "What is the difference between those things?" Stuff. So the difference is one is real when brought into existence, and the other is something one strives toward but may not reach because of poor thought or ability to overcome thought, thought, goals versus dreams. Okay, there's some seeds in there that we're gonna explore in a second when we get into this. Abdul Rahman said, "I believe you believe." Now, see, you've disqualified yourself as a 5%. But I digress. I believe and understand that the black man is God, and I don't follow the concept of a spook God. You believe and understand that the black man is God. Well, check this out because this is going to be pertinent. This is going to be pertinent right here for you too, I guess. We'll keep it at slow speed. But is we got anybody else? Does anybody else want to add on to this? What is the difference between fantasy and reality? Right? Dreams and goals. What is the difference? We'll give it about another 2 minutes. We'll give it about another 2 minutes to for y'all to answer before just the difference is taking action. Abdul Rahman said, I'll be at the school Saturday at 1. It's not going to help you. It's nothing that's going to happen at the school that's going to change your belief. I didn't disqualify you as God. You disqualified yourself when you said you believe. See, why do you have to believe unless the reality of yourself is not enough? See, if somebody tells you that the black man is God and you still got to search further, right? You haven't shown improvement. You haven't stood on your square and manifested things where you can say, yo, you know what? I see that in myself. See right there where it say the Asiatic black man to make it the only premium planet Earth, father, civilization, God of the universe. Yeah, I see that in myself. I can look around me and see the evidence of me being that and doing that. So that's why I don't have to believe, you see, because I don't have this other strange concept of magical powers or any other type of strange concept that I can't show and prove, so then I have to believe. My biological father, right? Now, he necessarily wasn't a religious person, but he believed in God, right? And I asked him one day, because like I said, I've been wondering, what the hell is this? I keep telling me this stuff. It's not. So I asked him one day about, why we can't see God, like why he don't be interacting with us, and he was like, see, if God came on the roof right there and start shooting lightning bolts, right, then you wouldn't have to believe in him because you see him right there. So he can't come do that. So that's why you gotta, like, that was his explanation, right, for why the bullshit was bullshit, right? So ultimately, because he's caught up in this ideology of God being in the sky, right? The knowledge that he's dropping is right and exact. When he's saying that, yeah, if the motherfucker ain't right there, right? If he's right there, then you ain't got to believe. You only got to believe something that you don't know. But because he didn't have the science of mathematics, he didn't know how to use that information. So see, when you say that you believe, right, what you show me, what that says to me, right, is that you're still in that mindset where you haven't seen for yourself. So I just need the lessons to study from the school. A lot of things are different in the teaching. Now the lessons can't help you. You've been exposed to the lesson. You just said you've been in the mosque. See, the reality is you gotta remember people have the lessons 30 years before we got our hands on it. You think that's it? You think that's it? It's listen. It's the 30 years before we got our hands on it, and all the time since they've had their hands on it. Why ain't do the same thing? You think that's it? See, that's what I'm saying. You come over here, when using the NOI, you didn't just go to them and ask them for the lessons. You knew you had to be qualified. It's not the magic pill, man. The lessons don't make us. It's not the lessons that make us the gods, man. Let me tell you something, man. If it wasn't for us, the lessons would still be sitting in the garbage, man. We made the lessons great because we understood them. The lessons didn't make us great. We never study in supreme mathematics and supreme alphabet. A lot of things y'all learn is different, even down to the 1 to 40. Well, I mean, we a different nation. We a different nation. You said, but you have to study to apply. You do. But see, in order, you got to learn your 1, 2, 3s and your ABCs in order to deal with, literacy, first of all, right? And then you have reading comprehension. You see, that's not just the actual letters and the phonetics and the sounds and all that, but that's the ideas and concepts that's being conveyed, right, in that speech. So yeah, in order to understand, you need the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet. What we doing is something different. So of course that's the case. But see, you got to realize that. Or else, listen, you seen the video yesterday, or whoever's seen this video. Look, I got the lessons, right? I got the supreme mathematics lesson, everything, and it led me here. The other brother, he said he got the lessons, and it led him to the mosque. So clearly, it's not just a function of you just getting the lessons. He says, so how could you not have the lessons to study and apply? See, first you got to know about civilization and righteousness. You said you love Elijah's teachings. That's Elijah's teachings. You don't just get the lessons. You got to be in the FOI. You said reading and comprehension and applying the lessons to everyday life is the same thing. No, it's not. Not by a long shot. See, because you can read the lessons and you can comprehend that, you're not supposed to eat poison animal. That don't mean that you don't eat poison animal. That's two different things, bro. That's different things, man. And see, that's what you have to understand about showing improvement. Now, hold on, let's go back. We put that in there? Just see the difference between a fantasy and reality is action. See, all of those things, a dream, a goal, a fantasy, reality, those are ideas. Right? An idea is knowledge. What comes after knowledge? Wisdom. Action. See, if it just remains in the context of you having an idea and you talking about it, yeah, you just dreaming, bro. See, if it comes down to you saying, listen, man, you want to play center in the NBA, right? But you 5'1". See, the action that you need to be able to do to be a center in the NBA, you can't do it. So that is a fantasy. See, you jumping off the Empire State Building and floating down to the ground, that's a fantasy because that action is not going to happen. See, once you take it to that point, now you're showing improvement. Now it's going from potential into kinetic. Now it's from something that you talking about to something that we can see happen. See, now it's something that we can learn from. Even if you don't go all the way to born with it, you still took some action where we can say, all right, well, we see these things went right, those things went wrong. We can renew that history, but not just your imagination, what's in your mind. We can't renew that. We don't even know what that entails. Shit, that's the same as applying wisdom. See, I'm just right mind. Your mind is you. See. Here's what you gotta understand. See, you have to have the mindset of love. See, that's different than the mindset of a religious follower, the mindset of a you, you- see these you have applying wisdom. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. But I got a new name for you out there right now. I keep telling you that. But look, I keep giving you a pass. But at any rate, thanks for that. Thanks for that that answer right there, Jets. Someone else planted some seeds there. Uh, Steph Soul, when things is brought into existence. See, then we can no longer say, look, we live in a time right now where how many different people say they're going to save us? They're going to build this, they're going to build that, they're going to teach us real estate, they got this economic plan, right? But see, the NOI is real. See, a lot of people walking around saying, look, we're going to do this, and we need to teach our people this, and we need to see Morehouse University is real. Whether you 100% agree with what a person do or whatever, they manifested it, and now it is real. You said here, Abdul Rahman, my problem was I didn't understand the religious aspect. After a while, specifically praying 5 times a day to Allah in the sky, then saying there's no spook God. Also saying heaven and hell is on earth, but then in prayer saying God in the heavens and the earth. I mean, well, listen, these are the questions that you got to answer for yourself. Look, Abdul Rahman, let's cut to the chase. Why you want the lessons? What you going to do with it? And you just told us, right? All of this here, right? But look, why you want the lessons for? Like you told us what you want to get the lessons so you can get back on point. But what you going to do for the lessons? See, this nation right here, that's what I'm saying. This mindset has been developing. Where each of us, we come into this mindset, right? And we can, take advantage of the growth and development that other people that came before us, have added on. See, journeys that I've had that took me decades to figure out, so I can come on here and manifest in 10 seconds, and then you can learn from that. So, to cut it to the chase, what can we, the Lords, do to punk like you? You said there was people that went from the mosque to the school and vice versa. Yeah. But why you wouldn't do that? You see, there's people that went from the mosque to the school and then right back to the mosque. How about that? After Rahman, don't get sidetracked. Don't get sidetracked. What you went to knowledge for, man? And what is the world gonna get out of you getting the lessons? What if you a diabolical fiend and we just providing you with extra high explosives because your mind is more of understanding NGE teachings so I can teach. So you guys start at the beginning. You have fast 3 days. See, understanding got to be understood. You understand us, we got to understand you. Because see, otherwise, look, I'm right here on the video. You could just listen to that. But if you talking about being one mind, you have to do this the right way.
You say peace, Darkim.
Peace and white. And it's that time already. Woo! You see this guy here, look, you know, that's what I can tell you. See, you know, over here, you have to be serious. As you said, your mind is more understanding NGE teachings. You know, you haven't expressed a lot of that understanding during the time that you've been speaking on the channel. I mean, I see what you're saying, Abdul Rahman. Listen, the knowledge is for everybody, but everybody's not for the knowledge. You know, so if the knowledge is for you, you know, look, uh, you know, I'm not Yakub. Yakub is who steal people birthright. But I'm just saying that, you know, right now, you just appear to be asking questions about the religious aspects of the religion that you was a part of. But, you know, just because you got questions about the NOI, that don't mean that you this. That you could be Christian. You got people that was NOIs, you know, then they had questions about what the NOI was teaching, and they became Christian. Does anybody remember Conrad Muhammad? There's people who started having questions about the religious aspects of the NOI, and now they Sunni. So these is the questions that you got to ask yourself. Now, Bishop, yeah, he was a minister from the 90s, and then he went and became a Christian minister. I haven't heard from him in decades, but so you know, like I said, these are the questions you gotta ask yourself. You can't get away from the teachings. I mean, you don't know the teachings. uh, you know, we'll see what gives with that. But at any rate, so we have the you said you're well rounded in NOI teachings. I mean, see, this is what I'm saying. Which way you going? Being well rounded in NOI teachings is a great thing. I don't know necessarily if it helps you because I'm not well rounded in NOI teachings. Now, I'm a pretty, I think I'm a decent 5%. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know how much that uh is gonna help. I don't even know the general orders. I don't. What are the general orders? What are they? What is the general orders? Some of the teachings transfer over. I mean, possibly, but like I said, I had no, at the time, I didn't even know the NOI was the name of that group of people. Because I'm hearing them, uh, I'm hearing them say that they're Muslim, right? And I hear, I guess on the news or whatever, I'm not sure what, but I was hearing about the Black Muslims. So that's what I call them, the Black Muslims, until I got the knowledge and found out that they was the NOI. You said FOI protocol. That's the general orders. Hey man, who knows? Nah, uh, I've never been hit on the general orders. Like I said, I'm not saying that those things is not good. I'm just saying I don't know how much they're gonna help you, at a particular thing. Like it's some things like reading science books is great. I don't know if it's gonna help you with philosophy though. You know what I'm saying? Like just and it probably has some carryover, but what's going on with true self is computer is doing duplicates. Looks like we got a new mathematician here. 7/25/2023 is 777. See, I never would have thought of that. He said to walk my post in perfect manner, keeping always on alert. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about with the 40 feet to the left, 40 feet to the right, 40 feet behind you, 40 feet in front of you, 40 feet above, and 40 feet below. He said we study actual facts that came from the mosque. I mean, none of this is going to help you be one of us, though. I mean, look, it's me in the conversation, and it's you in the conversation, right? All right. I'm 5%. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you what it's like to be this, and some things that we study, you already know. Okay, it's not going to help you that you know that. You said you 5% too. Hey, I don't know about that. You know, uh, you know something, Abdul Rahman. You see, you saying you 5%, right? And me saying I'm 5%, right? That's like the difference right there between fantasy and reality. And listen, it can't get no clearer than that. On that note, on that note, we're gonna get into the presentation right here. Once again, this is what is it called here? The fire alarm, the Clarence 13X story. The channel is the Shabazz production. The creator of this, his name is Omar Shabazz. We started off with a little commentary. I guess we got through about the first 40 minutes of it. So, right now we're going to get back into this here. We're going to get back into this here. And, like I told people yesterday, if there's some things that's said in here, right, that, might be a little bit difficult for you to hear. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, have a high degree of understanding. So, I said if I had to put a number to it, how many scuffles I've been in. See, I stopped scuffling with people. Well, actually, that was wild. I mean, last I wouldn't even call that a scuffle, man. We got in there some with the security at the fucking club and shit. That was kind of wild. Yes, scuffles. I mean, yeah, it depends on what you consider scuffles. Because there was a time I was getting into some kind of physical contact pretty much every day. But we'll I guess we'll have to think about that. But here we go. We're gonna pick up here where we left off. The fire alarm, the Clarence 13X story.
While Clarence 13X's killers have yet to be identified, those who were directly involved in Malcolm's death are household names. Joseph Gravitz, also known as Yusef Shah and Little Fat Joseph to many, never hid his contempt and jealousy for Malcolm. His ranking of captain in the Nation of Islam had his head so swelled up and large, he could barely get it through the mosque door. Held in high esteem by many Nation of Islam members as a tough guy, there's no record available of him ever laying his boots down on the ground against the supposed enemy, the white man. Yet, when the call to destroy Malcolm X was sounded, Joseph Gravitz led the charge. Hey, everybody, let's have some fun. You only live but once, but when you're dead, you're done. So let the good times roll.
That did anyone see that right there where it said Bumpy Johnson was a crime boss of the Genovese crime family? Now look, that's possible, I don't know. But that's kind of what Bumpy Johnson is known for, is that he went against the mob, at least, the legend that kind of was in the street. Maybe there's more to it that I don't know about, but the legend is that he went against the mob and won. There's big movies made about it. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole other thing. What's this here? You trying to say cats in the FOI is not 5%. Well, see, here's the thing, right? If you say right now, if somebody's fighting in the street and you jump into that fight, right? And then somebody asks you why you jumping into that fight. And you say, well, look, man, that's my cousin right there. That's blood. I can't let that happen to my blood. Right? Everybody's gonna understand what you mean. That is your blood. Right? That being said, that's not to be mistaken for you being a member of the international organization that has been living openly and notoriously as the Bloods since however long they've been around. So, yeah, right? When we go according to, like you said, 5%, 10%, and 85%, right? When we go according to the degree, right, that also Muslims and Muslim sons but have any of those people been living openly and notoriously as the 5%? Meaning right now, right, we've been living openly and notoriously as the 5% long enough, right, that we got a street sign out in front letting people know this is what we laid it down there. And that sign says the law of justice and the 5% is way. So I'm not sure what you're trying to pull there. But don't blur the lines, because we know exactly where they are. You say you're coming Saturday and nobody is telling me I ain't God. Look, if you want to call yourself God, that's you can do that. That doesn't mean that you're one of us. You got black women, look, this is Harlem. You got black women walking up and down, right? Talking about the black woman is God. We don't stop them. We don't say nothing to them. But that's something else. But yeah, don't ever get that confused, Abdul Rahman. You or anybody else.
Bumpy Ellsworth Johnson, whose given name was Ellsworth Raymond Johnson, better known on the streets as Bumpy Johnson. He was an American mob boss of the Genovese crime family.
I'm sorry I had to interrupt that segment about Bumpy Johnson, but this broadcast was strictly about Clarence 13X, also known as the father. So let's continue in that direction. The world's famous Apollo Theater, located in Harlem, New York, USA, the place where you could go to see and hear your favorite entertainers, like Motown artist Mary Wells, Atlantic Records doo-wop and R&B soul group The Drifters, with lead singers Clyde McPhatter, Billy Ward, Benny King, or Charlie Thomas. Soul singer Tommy Hunt from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, would often bring the house down with his enormous hit, Human, and other countless smash hits. Tommy Hunt's neighbors from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Delphonics, would put the Apollo Theater in a hypnotic spell with their smooth three-part harmony, led by their lead singer, William Hart, backed up by his brother, Wilbert Hart, and Randy Kane. The entertainers who walked out on the Apollo stage were all top-flight stars. Well, maybe not everybody. Many amateur night contestants met an unforgiving crowd. Nevertheless, everyone always gave their best to the theater's audience, and no one ever left the place disappointed. On any given day, or night for that matter, you could spot your favorite entertainer in front of the theater, observing the atmosphere of 125th Street and beyond. And if the timing was right, you could catch an entertainer in back of the Apollo's small one-way street, taking a break, stretching out for some fresh air, or just hanging out. Yeah, maybe you did see Sam Cooke and Bobby Womack near the back of the Apollo Theater that night you crossed the street on your way to your apartment building. You said you saw Smokey Robinson, Martha Reeves, and the Vandellas chopping it up with comedian Moms Mabley. Was that really Johnny Mathis and Maxine Brown you said you saw on the back of the Apollo Theater on that little dingy, narrow one-way street? And 3 months later, you said you saw Little Willie John and Lloyd Price? I don't believe you. Was it true that you saw some big-time entertainers buying a Muhammad Speaks newspaper? It's important to note, the Allah School in Mecca Street Academy at 2022 West 7th Avenue on Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard is only a half block from the world's famous.
We're going to just let that one pass. Don't nobody say nothing. Don't nobody say nothing.
Famous Apollo Theater. The street has also been named James Brown Way, in addition to 5%ers, Allah and Justice Square. While recently filming some historic locations in Harlem, New York, our film crew was standing in front of the Allah School in Mecca. We didn't ask to come inside, but we were treated with respect, courtesy, and very brotherly. We heard new perspectives that we never heard before about the Father, causing us to re-examine the current narrative for a better and more updated understanding.
Y'all want to see what's inside?
Yeah.
They're having a class right now.
Okay.
You sign the book.
3 brothers invited us into the school, and we had a brief but thought-provoking chat. And just like that, I saw some new positive things about the Father I overlooked.
Now, is, you know, this is the part of what I'm saying. Is that you came to the front of the school, right, to get some footage for your, you know, what was this going to be if, you know, because I didn't, but I know who that is. That says the class going on right now, coming up. I know who the other brother is too. So if they hadn't said that, you just came to get something. So now it would have looked like you was over there, right? You was over here, right? You're lending some credibility now to your documentary here, right? But you wasn't going to say nothing. And then, as you say here, you heard some, you know, you had a brief conversation and you got some new perspectives. So let's see what, you know, his new perspectives include here.
In the past, earlier in this film, Nation of Islam member Larry 4X mentions an encounter he had with the father, also known as Clarence 13X, at the top of Mount Morris Park at a ceremony conducted by Clarence 13X called a Universal Parliament. Larry 4X boasts about his bravado of singularly stepping to Brother Clarence 13X while wearing his FOI uniform while expressing his displeasure with Clarence. What's interesting here is that Larry 4X distances himself as someone who wasn't angry enough with Brother Clarence to do him any bodily harm. Larry 4X conveniently removes himself off the suspect list. But does Larry 4X speak about the day he beat senselessly into a pulp the blood brother of famous actress Ruby Dee? Ruby's brother was a supporter of Brother Malcolm, and he was beat down by Larry 4X in a street confrontation. Does Larry 4X mention in this interview how he once ran up on Brother Malcolm and assaulted Malcolm? Is there any truth to what's being said by Malcolm X's secretary, Abdullah Razak, also known as James 67X, on August 26, 2006, at an event I was instrumental in being part of? The event was called the OAAU Reunion, when Malcolm's followers assembled together for the first time in one room since Malcolm X's assassination. I filmed the event.
Anything Brother Malcolm asked me to do, I did, except two things. He told me to shave my beard, and I wouldn't. And he told me to hurt a brother, Larry Prescott. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that, brother.
So you hurt the brother?
Yes, he did. Because this brother ran up and hit Malcolm on the shoulder or something. That was Larry, sold 600 newspapers. And I said,
there are people still breathing on this earth. The only reason they're still breathing is Malcolm permitted them to breathe.
I know that. I know that too.
But wait a minute, you're contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not. Go ahead. Where am I contradicting myself?
Wait.
He felt that Larry should be hurt. And I said, you made Larry, and I'm not going to do that. Those are the only two things I didn't do. That's all.
So if Larry 4X...
Okay. Now, you know, I was going to let that one slide, West Coast wise. I was going to let that one slide. You know, but if you recall yesterday, right, you know, during a little bit more of the hit piece part of this, right, he was kind of speaking on how Malcolm had a better program than the law. Remember he was saying that the law was like local. Right? And see, even like when you said that, look, you know, he said some things that, you know, he bear witness to a large power as a politician. And see, that was my point. Right? It's that, see right here, when West Coast Wise asked the question, that was the first time since Malcolm was assassinated that they was together, right? So how did they carry on his work? They didn't. And see, and that's not what I want to do. But I'm just saying that if you're going to, let's not even compare it. Let's not compare Malcolm against Allah, but let's just say if you're going to measure a large program, you kind of got to put that in it. That a part of his program was the training for us to continue the program. So, there was that. But, this is what I'm saying. You see how this is a little bit, that was it. Jigga 1017 always takes some heavy shots. That was a heavy shot right there. Jigga 1017. But at any rate, this is what I'm saying. To me, right? To me, just as a person, just as an observer, right? I think it would have been a little more balanced, right? Had he kind of, at least not let so much time pass, right? And so many other inaccurate statements pass before you come back and kind of challenge the motives, I guess, for Larry 4X's, version of events. This is the part where I was saying it's like, yeah, you do that, but it's so far into the film that you end up losing people. But so yeah, this is now we getting back to the point, right? And so like I said, we start to get to the point where you see he's turning this into something where, like I said, he's trying to make the NOI look better, to make the NOI look like a group of schemers that, he's he loves Malcolm X. So he's trying to use the law story as kind of another example of look what these Muslims do. You know what I'm saying? So this is the part that we get ready to get into now. There's going to be a few other people. And, let's see, the tables may start to turn already on some of this new perspective that he said that he's gotten since he's come by to school, at least in his...
Prescott would assault Ruby Dee's brother and Malcolm X. Who else could he put hands on and touch up? Who's suffering from liabilities here? Who's telling the truth? Who's lying? Another brother who would become one of the Nation of Islam's greatest hits was a master martial artist named Leon 4X Amir, who joined up with Malcolm when Malcolm was railroaded out of the organization. Going on public radio did not stop him from being murdered. A defector from the Nation of Islam who joined up with Malcolm goes on radio to expose the hypocrisy.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, I'm going to be talking in a short while to Mr. George Maharis, who is the motion picture star and singer. I've just come from a motion picture screening of a fine film called Sylvia, in which he co-stars with Carol Baker. Much more about that later. Immediately after our opening announcements, I'm going to have the privilege of talking with Mr. Leon Amir, formerly press secretary to Cassius Clay, who's presently involved in a conflict with the black Muslim hierarchy, and Major Robinson, city editor of the widely read New York Courier. Mr. Amir, suppose you begin at the beginning and tell me the difficulty that you're having with the black Muslims.
Well, yes, Barry. It started on December the 25th when I was in Boston. I was called on my telephone in my room and told that there were 4 newsmen downstairs to see me from France who wanted to know something concerning Cassius, how he was doing after his hernia operation. They asked me could they come upstairs, and I told them no, that I would get dressed and come down. I got dressed, I came downstairs, and as I stepped off the elevator, I recognized one of the men, Clarence Gill. He was with us when I was in Boston with Cassius, preparing for the fight on November the 16th that was canceled. I asked him where was the newsmen. He told me they were over here. He wanted to talk to me first. So I said, well, what do you want to talk about? At that time, I was struck from behind. I received a rabbit punch at the back of the cerebellum, which is the back of the head. I was knocked to the ground, and at that particular time, Clarence Gill kicked me over the eye, which required 4 stitches. They beat me in the lobby of the Sherry Biltmore Hotel for exactly 20 minutes. Broad daylight at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, December the 25th.
Did anybody come to your aid?
No, the people in the lobby was terrified. They had never seen anything like this before. Many of the people there knew me because I was there from before.
Now, see, this is a little bit overkill right here. This is a little bit overkill just in terms of, and look, shout out to this brother right here, right? But this, if the name of this, right, is Fire Alarm, the story of Clarence 13X Smith, this is a little superfluous right here. So he said, I never understood why Omar uses the name Shabazz if he has such disdain for Elijah and Fuad, and the Malcolm riders love calling him Shabazz, yet never question why he never dropped that marker. That's actually kind of a very, in my opinion, right? Not just with this, but with a lot of things dealing with, anytime, it's some cherry picking going on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I don't do it myself, but, just in terms of, which parts of the story you choose to emphasize, right? You can kind of make different people seem like the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been watching this so far, right? We haven't even heard the name J. Edgar Hoover. You see what I'm saying? Like, this whole thing can go back to minute 1, right? And we can pick a new villain, right? And then let the story go forward. You see what I mean? Because the same way he showed the FBI files from the COINTELPRO investigation on law. So see, he could have just have easily pursued that angle and then use the same storytelling device. Well, look, I believe that they did this to Malcolm. And there's also this evidence right here. I think they did this to a lot too. He could have used the NYPD. But in particular, he's trying to convey a story.
Well, with Cassius, preparing for the fight.
Is there a house detective?
There is a security guard that works at night, but not during the day.
Sounds like a great place for a holdup.
Yeah, well, it is a nice hotel. It could have happened in any other hotel, I believe. These gentlemen, I'm told, after I got out the hospital, were there for an hour, standing in the lobby.
No. Why? This man, what's his name? The man you mentioned?
Clarence Gill.
Clarence Gill. He had been with Clay, you say?
Yes, he's a captain over the Boston Mosque. He's the captain up there. He's over the fruit in that area.
I see.
And after they whipped me and felt that they had did enough damage, they fled the hotel.
Yes.
And as they were fleeing, a detective lieutenant by the name of Detective Frank W. Kildare happened to be passing by, and he apprehended him. He drew the service revolver and put him up against the wall. Now, he thought that they had robbed the hotel. This is the way they were fleeing. And
nobody had called the police in 20 minutes.
Nobody had called the police.
Nobody behind the desk of the hotel or anything.
No. It was after they had gotten outside, the squad cars began to arrive. I guess they had probably called them after a while. They apprehended these four men and took them into custody and took them down to the police station. Told me that he was going to hold them for an assault upon me, and that I should make my appearance the next day in court.
Right.
I never did make the appearance.
Why is that?
They found me Saturday morning in my bathtub, unconscious.
From Louis X's Boston Mosque. Boston's Mosque number 11 had a very brutal captain named Clarence X. Gill.
I had to skip ahead a little bit here. This was getting a little, it's clear which parts we kind of want to focus on here. It's, like I said, he's going into all of this, just in terms of as a movie, kind of the continuity or whatever, that just, he lost me.
And the minister instructed me that he wanted these papers sold to get these papers out. And I told him that it couldn't be done.
Well, don't you think it's a little drastic to beat you up because you can't sell paper?
Well, they go to any extent to do anything that they want to do.
Mr. Robinson, I want you to move in here whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I'm a little bit amazed at what I'm hearing.
Why is that, Mr. Robinson?
Leon 4X Amir, who was savagely beaten, would later die from his injuries. Amir was from Louis X's Boston Mosque. Boston's Mosque number 11 had a very brutal captain named Clarence X. Gill. It was Gill and a squad of Nation of Islam members who beat Amir savagely. Nation of Islam members who were quick to hurt or kill a black person, but never lifted a finger against their supposed enemy, the white devils.
Come here, Leon. Brother, Mr. Muhammad.
Grab his Jill, grab his ass. Ain't nobody gonna destroy this thing about.
Get the hell out.
Funny looking motherfucker.
Break this goddamn move. Let me get to his ass.
You went on TV
Break this
talking all that
goddamn
shit, huh? With no
this team,
huh? Break the
Get
nigga's
this
leg.
damn ribs in.
Kill the bastard.
Go against the messenger, huh?
Red nigga, loving ass
Kick his
nigga.
goddamn face in.
We better split, brothers. Come on,
Let's
Jill,
take the
get out
stairs.
of here. Fuck the elevator.
We have a pursuit in progress. Units on non-essential calls directed to clear and stand by to assist.
On Savior's Day, February 26,
See, here we listen. Savior's Day, if we telling this story, this is what I'm saying. This is where, like I said, it developed slowly, right? Because I guess maybe you could say that, right? It's like, if you're going by the title, so it's like, okay, you're talking about Allah, but then you're developing a whole other story in the midst of what you're saying about Allah. Now we're at Savior's Day, February 1965.
1965, only days after Malcolm was gunned down by the Nation of Islam, the next victim of attack would be another black man named Ben Holman. Holman was a news reporter for the Chicago Daily News. He wrote a news article highly critical of the Nation of Islam's leadership. Thinking that he was safe because of the huge presence of police at the Savior's Day rally, Holman made the mistake of attending the Savior's Day convention. When Holman was spotted by Louis X sicked the fruit of Islam on Holman. Over 100 men surrounded Holman and tried to beat Holman to death right in front of Elijah Muhammad, who said nothing against the attack on Holman. Black men, quick to hurt each other, but did nothing in the face of white racists brutalizing them.
A fellow was sitting in front of me. He told his other brother, let's take him out because he made a statement against Elijah Muhammad. And they taken me out. And wanted to beat him, then get him out of here, kill him. And one caught me by my tie and tried to choke me. I liked what happened. I was scuffing. And I made it to the door. If I hadn't made it to the front door, they'd have killed me.
How many of them were there that were beating you?
Over 100. Oh, I don't know. All of them kicked me. All in the stomach.
You mean 100 were beating you and kicking you at the same time?
Yeah, and I started fighting back. That's the only way I got out of there. If I hadn't made it to the door to the police, they'd have killed me. They would have killed me. And they probably will kill me anyway. I don't know what they're going to do. But I know one thing. They'll probably get me. They'll probably get me anyway. I hate to make any statement against any of the black people because we have too tough a time anyway.
Do you think you'd recognize some of these men?
I know almost all of them.
Do you know them by name?
No.
Have you filed a complaint? What did you tell the police you wanted done?
I think we might go to court on this. Because I think I might. I'll see my lawyer and see if I get it. Because I think I made it too bad.
Was the Nation of Islam's God, Master Farad, only taking shots at black people? Who was doing the hits? Was it Farad or was it the Fruit of Islam? Where was the evidence that their God attacked black people's enemy? According to Farad and Elijah's teaching, a large spacecraft called the Mother Plane will soon come and strike down whites only. A teaching totally ridiculous.
See, this is, like I said, this, now we get into, it's kind of, you going full blast now with your true kind of, I don't know what you would call it, but kind of, the story that you're really trying to tell, right? You're using, like I said, Allah as a device to tell the story against the NOI. And this is where I think it's like, this is, I think he could,
Benjamin Brown, another Nation of Islam defector, who tried to set up his own mosque in the Bronx, New York, was attacked in the street by Nation of Islam enforcers, Norman 3X Butler, Thomas 15X Johnson, and Brother Gaines. Benjamin was shot in his lungs with a rifle the Nation of Islam Lieutenant Thomas 15X Johnson claimed the Nation of Islam didn't believe in carrying. Our West Indian brother, Linwood X. Cathcart, became the lieutenant of Newark, New Jersey's Mosque Number 25. Mistakenly named Linwood in many publications about Malcolm X's assassination, the actual spelling of his name is Linwood. He's described in many books about Malcolm's assassination as the Nation of Islam member who came to the Autobahn ballroom wearing on the lapel of his suit jacket his Nation of Islam pin to show the world that he was a proud member of the Nation of Islam who was in good standing with the organization. It's been revealed long ago that Linwood came to the Autobahn ballroom wearing his lapel pin as part of a master plan to divert attention to himself so that his assassination team he entered the ballroom with could swiftly ambush.
Now, this is what I'm saying. We're all the way here, Linwood X, Newark, what happened to the new perspective that you got when you went to the school? This stuff is all over the place. That's what I'm saying about just in terms of your storytelling device. Just as an observer of your film. This is, come on.
Ambush Malcolm, while Malcolm's bodyguards focused on him. The wearing of the lapel pin was a major military strategy move, and it worked perfectly. The lapel pin is usually worn to quickly identify by sight someone who's in the same group or organization another individual is in. The pin usually consists of two components: the front of the pin with an insignia on it, and a rear clasp or clutch that grips the pointy part of the pin to hold it in place. The pin is attached to any garment, usually high up on the front flap of a suit jacket or blazer, where there's a stitched opening for the two parts to go through. Linwood, afraid he would lose his pin on the day of Malcolm's well-planned murder, put several Nation of Islam pins in his pocket because the wearing of his pin would play a major role in the assassination. Before the shooting started, Linwood was called to the back of the hall to be questioned several times. This was to correspond with other collaborators in on the plot for updates and intelligence gathering. Whoever first spotted Linwood wearing his lapel pin was likely to have been in on the assassination. The wearing of the lapel pin played a major part in this military public execution of one of Black people's potential brightest hopes. And I said I wasn't going to cuss in the production of this film. And it's a fucking shame what the Nation of Islam did to our people. When I joined the Nation of Islam, the leadership indoctrinated everybody into believing that Malcolm was public enemy number one. And like a damn dummy, I fell for it. That is, until I started secretly learning and thinking for myself. And I quickly started getting warnings from Nation of Islam officials.
See, now it's like you understand what I'm saying? Why didn't you just make this movie? I think this is a better movie. You make this movie right here. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is to me, now you're saying what the movie's about. Should have made this what the title was about.
Death threats and a couple of physical attacks. I really got educated when I started hanging out with people who were actually with Brother Malcolm, like Robert L. Haggins, Malcolm's photographer, and Earl Grant, who was a former Nation of Islam member, who united with Malcolm to help him try to get something for our people.
Now look, hold on for a second.
People who were actually with Brother Malcolm, like Robert L. Haggins, Malcolm's photographer, and Earl Grant.
All right, now, you can barely see this guy's face here in the corner. Hold on. Get that as, I guess that's as big as I can get it. Right? You can barely see this guy's face right here in the corner. Can you see this guy right here? This guy. Now, I remember seeing a documentary where it was a dude that looked like him, and he said it was a certain point. He said it was a certain point that he saw something happening, and he got up, he went in the back, he grabbed his briefcase, he heard the gunshots, and then he just left. Is that guy right there? Does anybody else see that? And do they know if that's him? To 1017 said Omar has made several joints using Allah's name, but it always segues into Malcolm, Elijah, John Ali, Captain Joseph, and Lewis accusations damn near 15 years and 20 plus DVDs of the same remix. I mean, yeah, I've been paying attention to him for a while. I have noticed him pretty much doing what you said. Yeah, who knows? Did you know that DMX used to call himself Divine Master of the Unknown? Dark Man X came after? No, I didn't know. No.
Who was a former Nation of Islam member, who united with Malcolm to help him try to get something for our people. Sister Jean Reynolds here, standing next to Sister Betty outside the Audubon Ballroom after her husband was assassinated. I was fortunate enough to meet Sister Jean Reynolds and many others like Mary Yuri Kachiyama, a Japanese woman who supported Malcolm and fully understood why Afro-Americans needed the unity that Malcolm attempted to bring to the world. I was introduced to Malcolm's security people, top aides, secretaries, supporters of all types and titles. And I didn't just meet them and shake their hands and walk away. No, I developed friendships with most of them that expanded over several decades. If I weren't visiting them at their home, they came to mine. They all told me about this fearless, unselfish warrior named Malcolm X. I taught myself filmmaking, and I'm here to tell you what I learned. It broke my heart when I learned that many of our own brothers from the West Indies, like Lewis X, Joseph Bravitt, Maceo Owens, and Linwood Cathcart, came up with a scheme to get Malcolm kicked out of the...
Wait, what happened, man? I just turned. Yeah, I just turned into shots against the West Indians. I missed. I didn't even catch that the first time I watched this. Shots fired in the Caribbean.
Nation of Islam, and next created a plot to get Malcolm executed in public. The final plans were put in motion when the Nation of Islam started renting out the Autobahn ballroom for the sole purpose of planning escape routes for the assassins. This may be hard for you to accept, but our own people from the West Indies wrestled the Nation of Islam away from the foundational Black Americans and took over the reins. They invited Malcolm.
Listen. That's it for you West Indians, man. That's the jury's in, and Judas is from the West Indies. Yo, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Ain't Malcolm X in his Mars? Ain't Malcolm X Mars? West Indies. Listen, man. Now we know we Yeah, this is just indiscriminate shots.
To join in on the ripoff. And when Malcolm told them, no, I didn't sign up for that. I'm not here to rip off and take advantage of our brothers and sisters born in America. I want no part of that. That's when they knew they couldn't trust Malcolm. So the Nation of Islam waited for an opportunity to get rid of him. The opportunity came when Malcolm made a speech like Louis X, Joseph Bravitt, Maceo Owens, and Linwood Cathcart came up with a scheme to get Malcolm kicked out of the Nation of Islam, and next created a plot to get Malcolm executed in public. The final plans were put in motion when the Nation of Islam started renting out the Autobahn ballroom for the sole purpose of planning escape routes for the assassins. This may be hard for you to accept, but our own people from the West Indies wrestled the Nation of Islam away from the foundational Black Americans and took over the reins. They invited Malcolm to join in on the ripoff. And when Malcolm told them, no, I didn't sign up for that.
Woo. All right, look. We gotta do a roll call right now. If you West Indian, put one in the box. We gotta listen. We gotta find out who's who right now. So wait a minute, man. Look, I didn't catch this the first time. I don't know. I probably was zoned out, but I've heard quite a few theories over the years. But this here, we saying that some West Indian brothers now. So hey, listen. So West Indian brothers launched a plot to take over the NOI. And they said, Malcolm, be down because we West Indian and shit. And Malcolm said, nah, man, I ain't down, brothers. And so then they killed him. That's a new one. That is a new one. That Malcolm X was killed as a pawn in the West Indian plot to take over the NOI. You know, I guess the fact that Farrakhan is the leader now might I don't want to say lend merit. That would be too but I mean, I guess that's you know, that's a new one. Has anyone ever is am I the only one that's this is the first time I'm hearing this one about the West Indian plot? Right. So you know, look, we've exonerated the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, and NYPD, and we've arrived at West Indians. But look, I know so we really got one person that type West Indian, put one in the box that they West Indian. Look, we gotta smoke y'all out. See the fact that y'all ain't typing one in the box, it shows that this brother's right. It shows that y'all got a plot going on. It shows that this man knows what he's talking about. Ah man, wait till I get outside. Man. Wait till I get outside. Wait till I see the first. Woo! Woo! He said that because Lewis has St. Croix and Jewish lineage. Is that true? Louis Farrakhan is Jewish. You talking about Ashkenazi Jewish? Louis Farrakhan? Wasn't COINTELPRO involved with the slaying of the major heads in the 60s, i.e. Panther Party and Martin? Now see, I'm gonna tell you something. You know, some of those with Kwame Ture is West Indian. I'm just hey, listen now. I'm not I don't know why you want to bring that up. I don't know why you wanted to bring that up. But I'm just saying. you gotta watch these West Indians. You know, funny how he's still around. Listen, man. Listen, man. Let's smoke these guys out, man. So wait, Louis Farrakhan, his father is white? Now you gotta be mistaken. You talking about Bob Marley. We said Louis Farrakhan. Nah, it's not. That is not possible. Louis Farrakhan is half Parisian. He told Skip Gates that his father was a white, straight-haired man from Jamaica. See that? Late Bloomer Show said Toure did go rogue with MLK. Yeah, well, hey, listen, we got this thing figured out now. Promised land is right around the corner. All we gotta do, get rid of these West cities. Line them up. Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, y'all got to produce. Y'all got to produce some type of evidence here. Because listen, I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna tell you what makes it difficult to think that is that I could hardly believe that white America would allow that like that. Like you just wide open, bro. And with all the shit you've been talking. If we find out that you whitey, son. Now he got half original. I do know about that. That his son married a white woman. I do know about that. Who's Percival Clark? You know, but I could hardly believe that they would let him live that down with all the shit that he told. Like that would have to be, you know, like that would be the first thing people would say. Percival Clark is listed on Google as, hold on, let's see it. That's crazy. Look, you know some shit is crazy, right? When you ain't even gotta type in, the whole shit. Like you just start typing it up, right? I just put in just Percival and then CLA, and then it came up Percival Clark, taxi driver, Louis Farrakhan. Wow. Okay, here we go, man. We're gonna click on this right now, real quick. Wait. Oh, let's do this. Let us do this here. Let's just do that. All right, let's do this. It shouldn't be. Okay. So this, I mean, this is X Who's Percival Clark was born in 1891. And see, this has got a lot of misspelled words here. This is Percival Clark was born on April 4, 1891 in Jamaica. He was the son of a Jamaican father and a Barbadian mother. He had 2 siblings. He was married to a woman named Louise, with whom he had 4 children, including Louis Farrakhan. He was a tall man standing at 6 feet and a slim build. His eyes were brown. This, who knows? This site right here doesn't seem very credible. Let's see what his Wikipedia says. Where does it have? So this says here, he was born Louis Eugene Walcott on May 11, 1933 in the Bronx, New York City, the younger of 2 sons of Sarah Mae Manning and Percival Clark, immigrants from the Anglo-Caribbean islands. His mother was born in St. Kitts. His father was Jamaican. The couple separated before their second son was born, and Farrakhan says he never knew his biological father. In a 1996 interview with Henry Louis Gates Jr., he speculated that his biological father was a light-skinned man with straight hair from Jamaica and may have been Jewish. Yeah, this is not doesn't seem like he actually knows who the guy is. So who knows? But like I said, that's definitely something that I think, had there been a situation where they had 100% confirmation of that would definitely, would you say, that definitely would quotation. Man, listen, I don't know, man. I don't know, but that is quite an assertion right there. But like I said, get back to the point. I just had to, that was like I said, that was unique for me. I never heard that one. I don't know, because these people, they use that term. These are Anglo-Caribbeans, meaning that they were colonized by the English. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to the what they call them, francophones, and I'm not sure what they call the people that speak Spanish, but we gotta. These is all the types of things we got to figure out now that we know that these West Indians is the real problem.
I'm not here to rip off and take advantage of our brothers and sisters born in America. I want no part of that. That's when they knew they couldn't trust Malcolm. So the Nation of Islam waited for an opportunity to get rid of him. The opportunity came when Malcolm made a statement that we all know that was about President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Black America knew something stunk in the Nation of Islam when Malcolm was placed on a 90-day suspension for the remarks he made about President Kennedy. Malcolm was always hard on Kennedy. And now all of a sudden, the Nation of Islam announces that they are mourning the death of President Kennedy. You talk about hypocrisy? The Nation of Islam, for all intents and purposes, just played themselves. And on February 21 of 1965, to add insult to injury, the Nation of Islam denied any.
Is anybody keeping count? Like, of course, we can't count the time that I stopped to talk. But how long has it been since he said anything about Allah? Like, this is the Clarence 13X story, bro. Who are these guys? Who?
Participation in the callous assassination of Brother Malcolm. When Malcolm was struck down, his killers were up close and in front, right in front of him. Unlike the shooters of President Kennedy that were a distance away, Malcolm wasn't shot far away from a grassy knoll in Dallas, Texas. Oh no, his killers were right up front in Harlem, New York. The lieutenant in charge of Malcolm's firing squad.
Not for nothing. This program right here, I'm not sure. I knew the name of it too. This program that he's using to like animate the pictures and move. It's like, bro, what do you have this Muslim cat here with these people who's supposed to be the Kennedy assassins, and then they're shooting at the Autobahn ballroom? Like, come on, bro. Come on.
Squad was from Newark, New Jersey, and they all came in with bad intentions. The Nation of Islam wants people to believe that Malcolm's shooters were white men who sat down in the audience wearing blackface makeup. And if it wasn't white men who did the shooting, it was former Nation of Islam members who were out of the mosque and in bad standing with the organization. Straight up nonsense. Black folks recognized in Brother Malcolm a leader who was for real, a man who was no sellout. He couldn't be bought and sold, and the people came out in droves to hear and see him. They came to the Autobahn ballroom to give him their full support and endorsement. But at the same time, they knew of the risk of being seen supporting him. They knew that racist whites who employed them could terminate their 9-to-5 at the drop of a hat. So when the cameras started flashing, they had to cover their faces. Who wanted to wake up in the morning, buy a newspaper, and see a photo of themselves seated in the audience at a Malcolm X rally? Just make a U-turn and head for the unemployment line and look at your so-called comrades today. They too are scared to even take a selfie with you. This brother asked me to take a photo with him, and I was already pre-cropped out of the photo. And then he showed me the photo. I saw him, but all I saw was the side of my shoulder. This system is still using those same old scare tactics. While Malcolm was being introduced to the waiting audience, he thought he saw someone seated he recognized. The person looked like, and in fact, was Linwood X. Cathcart, a fellow Muslim and lieutenant he knew from Newark, New Jersey's Mosque number 25. He worked with him in the past. It didn't matter. Malcolm was at the Autobahn to announce his plans for taking our case of denied human rights into the United Nations World Court. What Malcolm was planning was big time, serious stuff compared to your silly nonsense, Linwood. Going in and out of doors with papers in your hands, trying to act like you were someone of importance, or sitting around with a scowl on your face, pretending you were angry about something. I used to do that shit in junior high school when I would take public transportation to places and start staring at white people with a scowl on my face. That shit didn't scare anyone. Linwood, you know damn well your scowl was only for black folks. That's why it was fun and games to you when you took your firing squad into the Autobahn ballroom to take out Brother Malcolm. You thought it was something to laugh about. That's why you've been dubbed the Laughing Lieutenant. It didn't hit you that you were taking out the wrong man? You
It's been at least, it was that like 5 minutes. Like, come on, we gotta. I hate to do this, but bro, you gotta skip ahead a little bit. So yeah.
Legend has it that after Malcolm fell down mortally wounded, that you walked over to his body and stood tall, openly laughing while staring at his bullet-riddled body. It was captured with a still camera. Authors Zach Kondo and Peter Goldman have seen the photo. Maybe the photo will surface this year in 2023. It's about time that we all see it. It's said that right after the assassination of Brother Malcolm, that you phoned several mosques to report the success of the murder. The murder of in Washington, D.C. 2 men and a young boy were shot to death. 4 other children, ranging in age from 9 days to 10 years old, were drowned in a bathtub and kitchen sink. The 7 Nation of Islam, Fruit of Islam soldiers lost their temper and took their anger out on the occupants of a large house that Hanafi Muslim leader Hamas Abdul Khalis owned, that was purchased by Milwaukee Bucks basketball player Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The target of the attack was Hamas Abdul Khalis, but he wasn't home at the time. The 7 Nation of Islam members became enraged when Hanafi leader Khalis wrote several letters to various Nation of Islam-owned mosques, accusing Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad and his man guard, Farad Muhammad, of deceiving people. Khalis was a former Nation of Islam member. The father opened his very first school here at 2122 7th Avenue in Harlem, New York.
Woo! Finally, man, we get like, yo, bro. I'm starting to glaze over a little bit here, man. Woo!
That was located between the Wellsworth and Glamour Inn bars and grill. It's not hard to imagine that the leadership in the Nation of Islam did not like it at all. Another school would open up in Brooklyn, New York. One could imagine that the Nation of Islam being very jealous of this and viewing Brother Clarence as a successful competitor. Here's a brother that the Nation of Islam's Mosque number 7 kicked out of the mosque and is thriving very well on his own. Brother Clarence is showing and proving many of the contradictions that the Nation of Islam taught. They said that all white men were devils, especially the ones with blue eyes. The mayor of the city of New York, John Lindsay, had the bluest of eyes, but he appeared to have admired and respected Brother Clarence, so much that he gave him a building for Clarence to build a street academy at, a place of learning. Condemning someone because of their eye color is ridiculous. Racists don't sympathize with blacks when they are suffering. Clarence judged individuals on their actions and deeds. That should be the yardstick. Don't be naive. There's some sick people out here that need to be dealt with accordingly. Since there's no recordings of Brother Clarence around that people can listen to so they can hear him, what his eyes.
Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing.
Ideas were, what his program was, his beliefs, his philosophy that can be translated to new adherents. Many of his older followers have already transitioned. It's said that he spoke very slowly, a way that's often rejected by those who think because someone doesn't speak in a rapid-fire fashion isn't on par with them on an intellectual basis. Make no mistake about it. Just because Clarence didn't have diarrhea of the mouth, he was a unique and very wise man, and people were attracted to him like bees to honey. He wasn't perfect, but there was a way about him that couldn't be ignored. You've encountered those rude types who always cut you off because you aren't talking fast enough for them so they can bend your ear with some shit you already covered 5 years ago. And they always say, sorry to cut you off, but don't even have the courtesy to ask you, what was you going to say? Yeah, those types. It's unfortunate that Brother Clarence wasn't recorded while he was lecturing. A portable
Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't even put it in the comment box.
battery-operated audio recorder would have captured him speaking. Unlike other leaders and spokespersons in the Black struggle, there's several recordings anyone can reference. While researching Brother Clarence and the 5 Percenters, we have yet to find even a book of his speeches. Is his appeal only by word of mouth? It's a legitimate question. Documentation is important. It leaves a roadmap.
Why? So people like you can use that documentation to tell some whole other story. Why is it important? To whom?
A trail, a legacy to show what you were and are about. The best tools to accomplish this, at a minimum, is an audio recorder with a microphone plugged into it, and if possible, still photos or motion pictures to support your documentation. It's a social responsibility needed to demonstrate you were in the field, standing tall in the struggle, instead of being a seated spectator. And if this government ever...
See, now look, all these people that he's showing right here, right? All these people in these pictures that he's showing, right? You know, where you have all this documentation, right? All of these pictures and the lighting and all of that, right? Because their sons and daughters. Was they sons and daughters at? Like, we don't count for nothing. Because, bro, let me tell you something. I'm documenting as a 5%. Every department in the city of New York got me down as a 5%. But that's, you know, I digress.
ever issues out reparations, don't jump to the front of the line if you know you didn't participate in the struggle in any way. You can't even engage in any serious dialogue every time someone asks you anything about the hell we've been catching. You know who you are. When Brother Clarence's Urban League Street Academy went up in the summer of 1967, it was a groove, and Black youngsters were very excited and proud. Thanks to Mayor Lindsay, change was on the horizon. This early photograph, with the small building highlighted in brown, is the actual location of the Street Academy at 2122 7th Avenue, Harlem, New York, formerly the Alhambra Barbershop, and was a half block from the back entrance of the world's famous Apollo Theater, and across the street from the Alhambra Movie Theater. The small size of Clarence's Street Academy wasn't going to box him in. It so happened that another building, attached to it like a Siamese twin, highlighted in green here, was a hole-in-the-wall, gut-funky joint bar and grill called the Wellsworth, where money was well spent. Last calls for alcohol. were available to even the entertainers appearing at the Apollo Theater, Clarence turned the Wellsworth into his meeting place and makeshift office. Sipping on gin and water, he negotiated with his lieutenants and made his future plans, while realizing
negotiating with lieutenants. The hell kind of talk is this? Who's this? Nicky Barnes or something? Negotiating with lieutenants.
past events never guaranteed positive future results. With that reality, he sensed danger in the air, enough to make him purchase 2 brand new Winchester M1 carbine rifles that he kept locked up inside the Street Academy. The danger was sure enough real. Some tactical errors that Brother Clarence made in the past may have caught up to him. His list of enemies was long. That saying, keep your friends close and your enemies even closer, was a gamble that Clarence had to quickly decide to make. 2 loyalists who were always near Brother Clarence was a brother named Uhuru, who was like a minister of information, who was hardly seen without his boombox, where he dialed in, alternating between news and black music stations. No one had a bigger record collection than Brother Uhuru. Soul, R&B, jazz, you name it, he had it. But Brother Uhuru's collection was no match for what the FBI had. They purchased everything Uhuru copped and went over each song with a fine-tooth comb because they wanted to know what the 5%ers were listening to. The agents could recite and sing the lyrics backwards. They could tell you what the latest dance crazes were in the black community and do the steps too. They could quote all the most famous lines all the popular black leaders were putting out. Tell you where you could go to get the best soul food in town. Knew what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What your favorite snacks were. The Bureau wasn't playing when it came to securing what they established. Another brother Clarence became a mentor to was a brother called the Black Messiah, whose birth name was Matthew Johnson, who was just fascinated with Clarence's sharp insight on things. An example was when the Black Messiah asked Brother Clarence to break down the meaning of the word in letters of what Islam and the name Allah meant to him. And Clarence shot back, Islam, I, self-lord and master. Allah, arm, leg, arm, head. For Clarence, none of this was a contradiction. The description of Allah clearly explained that God could manifest in human form, who had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. What Clarence would challenge is why God always had to appear in the form of someone or something that never resembled black people.
Bro. Bro. I mean, at some point. So let me catch back up here. We went a little, cause sometimes, and when I watch people's things, right? They different programs, and sometimes like, man, you interrupting too much. I can't get it, But we listen. There was a lot there, but he said, this is a little crazy. Let's go back here. Is this the new perspective on a lot that we've been patiently waiting for? Yeah, and I saw it, and I guess some people had left some comments that he didn't like, and he was kind of upset about that. And it's like, bro, you can't put this much inaccuracies, in a a public presentation. Like, you know, the source, you come on, man. You got it. Even the stuff you saying about the FBI, where's that in the files, man? This stuff, man. Lord Nasir, who manufactured this project. This is Omar Shabazz. The name of this is Fire Alarm, the Clarence 13X story. You know, of course, we've been over the river and through the woods. You know, I saw somebody commented, you know, why are you bringing up the Hanafi killings and all this? Yeah, exactly, man. You know, but like I said, it's because you're using a lot as a storytelling device. You know what I'm saying? You know, and why didn't you make your movie about the Hanafi people? You know what I'm saying? Like, to some degree, it's like, all right, well, was you trying to draw us up? Was you trying to make us? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if a person puts a shirt out with the universal flag on it, you wasn't planning to sell that to, you know, O Block. You wasn't planning. Who was you planning on selling that to? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you make a shirt with Bob Marley on it, I mean, yeah, certainly anybody might buy it. But we know that it's a group of people that if we see them, we definitely want to market this to them. You know, so in particular, you know, why he chose to do that, you know, and then, you know, why he didn't have understanding that these are inaccuracies. You know, he's speaking on some things that happen, you know, some ciphers that, you know, Allah endeavored in to accomplish some things, right? But then it's like you're trying to mix that with knowing what our teachings is about, and it's not the same thing. This is a documentary version of Miley Cyrus twerking. I mean, wait until Allah gets pressed in the alley behind that pot. Yeah, you know, look, this is another thing that you know, could happen. I never heard about this. You know, I've never heard about that. He said, do we have a regional and supreme captain? See, this is the stuff like when you start talking like that and then you say that you have the understanding of the 5%, you know, it just makes me wonder. See, this is what I'm saying. You can't mix our principles, right, with other people's ethics. You can't mix our teachings with other people's way of life. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about our teachings. I'm not talking about the lessons. Our teachings do not go with a religious way of life. You got to shake some of this stuff off, man. I'm telling you, the lessons are not going to help you. Yeah, but why did he bring up why did he bring up the incident regarding the Hanafi? Exactly. You know, it has nothing. Was alive even alive when that happened? Like, did that happen in the 60s? So if you was missing an arm or a leg, could you still be God? This is a great question. Hey, look, this is a question right here for all you God bodies. Listen, for all you God bodies out there, right? Answer that question. He charges $30 to $100 for these. Whoa. Yeah, I've been seeing these videos for a while. You know, the first ones I saw, he made about 5. Those are the first ones that I saw. He said the father was talking to his lieutenants. Yeah, so I'm saying we don't. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. You know what? You actually made sense there, Abdul Rahman. I see you. The comments, it took a while. I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, we ain't got lieutenants, we ain't got captains either. You know what? My bad, Abdul Rahman. You was on point that time. I had to catch up there. See, but look, the God bodies. Yeah, answer that question though, Abdul Rahman. You on a roll. You on a roll right now, Abdul Rahman. You on a roll. God bodies. We need an answer to that. Death Rocket. I mean, well, to me, yeah, the video comes off as rambling because he's your inner story, right? Or the real story that's threading all this together is your experience as somebody who loved Malcolm and went into the mosque and was disenchanted, right? And then you're using all of these other people as devices to say, look, this is how bad the Muslims are. This is how bad the Muslims are. This is how bad the Muslims are. That should be the title of your thing. And then you can say, well, look, this is my list of proofs. This is my list of evidence for my thesis in the what's the name. You see what I mean? But when you call this, okay, this is the Clarence 13X story, you didn't say nothing about where he's from. You didn't say nothing about when he was born. You didn't say nothing about his family. You understand what I'm saying, bro? How did this become the Clarence 13X story? Like you the whole way you're speaking about it, you start off with the perspective of some people that met him when he was in his 30s. So that's why it comes off as rambling because, yeah, it's not following a thread. You didn't say nothing about Korea. Now, we're not finished with it. Maybe he goes into all of that, but of course, that would be strange, being that we're, hold on, let me look at we're 1 hour and 23 minutes into the presentation for you to go back to, he was born in 1928. Now this is, so yeah, 1977. Yeah, you're bringing up the Hanafi killings in 1977. That's what I'm saying. You're telling a different story. That cannot be the story of Allah. The only way you're going to be in 1977 telling the story of Allah, you got to be talking about us. And you just said you didn't even talk to us. So yeah, it comes off, it's going to be rambling. When you got grown people talking about other grown people that they don't know in a public forum, that's what's going to happen. So it happened in the early 70s, 1977, whatever the case may be. I just knew that wasn't, it had nothing to do with love. That is mentioned in Dr. Wesley's Who Killed Malcolm book. You know who killed Malcolm? Keep talking about this dumb shit. See, don't use the knowledge and wisdom. Don't apply the principles. Just keep talking about how he got killed and don't never advance none of the stuff. Still be sitting here talking about what he could have, should have, would have did if he hadn't made it. And this is not no disrespect to him. This is, I'm talking about to the people that you want to be walking around. That's how you want to keep them alive. Not by talking about that. See, that's the difference between us and a lot of others. See, we don't have no teachings about death. If we do, I don't got to. You got to go somewhere else. They talk about like life after death and your spirit go here. And nah, I ain't never heard nothing like that. All right. All mothership, all that. I ain't never heard none of that. Whatever you're going to live on is going to be through your teachings and your impact on the planet that lasts on. See, George Washington, he got a nation of people here that, whether he got kids or not. To see the people, his name lives on, not because people sit around talking about how he got killed, but they sit around talking about the principles that he promoted, of America, whether you agree with them or not, say they're good and bad. I'm just saying that that's how they keep him alive. Someone asked this question earlier, Def Rocket. If he thought Malcolm did like Elijah, why would he keep the name that was given to him, Malcolm Shabazz? Shabazz is part of the NOI doctrine. Look, there were some things that we pointed out. I guess we could get back into them at the end. Just in terms of some of the inconsistencies in kind of I don't want to say the mythology because it's not that it's untrue, you know what I'm saying, but in the kind of perception of Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? There is some things Malcolm is the picture of perfection. Malcolm has followers that feel the same way about him, that Elijah's followers, where, he's the messenger. And it may have been wrong for everybody else to do that, but, the messenger took that burden on for us to go ahead and do that. So, you'll find a lot of things. Like, I don't know if you was on earlier when he was talking about, it was like in the early 2000s, I think he said 2006 was the first time that the followers of Malcolm have been together since his assassination. So see, when you go around talking about how everybody destroyed this goal of Malcolm X to go to the UN and everything, See, when they allowed that to affect them to the point where they didn't carry on, see, if that had happened over here, I don't know how old the rest of y'all is. But I know I speak for a lot of us on here when I say if that had happened over here in 1969, we wouldn't even be here, G. We would have never heard of this because the law wasn't immediate, darling, where they're making movies and TV shows and everything. So, when you look around for the blame, that one person or one group of people, might have, perpetrated that event against Malcolm. You see, that's just the situation with life. Is some things not your fault, but it's your responsibility. See, there's some things that happen. Like, look, if somebody is speeding down the street, right? It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to get out the street and don't get hit. See, all the times when you look at the history that's in the lessons, you look at the history that this is talking about right here, right? You look at the history in the 136, all of that stuff is not our fault, but it's our responsibility to do something about it. Well, y'all know my all-time favorite. We got a couple new names in here. Y'all might not have heard this one. But suppose you see a lion running down the street. Now, if you live in Kenya somewhere in the African Serengeti, right, maybe that's not uncommon. But here in New York City, if a lion is running down the street, that means somebody fucked up. Somebody at the zoo or the circus or somewhere didn't do their duty, and this lion is now out running in the street. Now, it's not my fault that lion is out, but I don't have time to play the blame game. So I'm not going to pull out my phone and start calling people, who the hell let this lion out? At that point, it's my responsibility to make sure I don't get ate. So, telling us whose fault it is, I mean, yeah, I guess that's closure. I guess some people need that closure. But it's not like, we're going to find out who killed Allah, who killed Martin Luther King, who killed Malcolm, and then all of a sudden the motherfucking roses is going to grow out the fucking projects. All of a sudden, every fucking refrigerator is going to be filled when we find out who killed Malcolm X. I'm not saying it's not important, but at this day and time right now, like, look, man, those people is already gone. So see, this is what I'm telling you. If, the law that I was told about, right? The Allah that I was told about, right? If you was going to tell his story, we want you to focus on his sons and daughters that went on, lived out the principles of his program to his success. You can see that was even in that time. Like when you see those excerpts, some of them is audio, some of those is video of brothers speaking. Like it was one with A Beaker speaking. It was just a couple of. Most of the time, Allah was right there. The brother said the one where A Beaker is speaking, that Allah is like the next person. Like you could see a certain range of people sitting around, and he was like, if the camera had panned one person over, Allah was right there. But when people came and speak to him, he said, I speak to my sons. But see, certain places where he went, where, we gotta go, he takes certain people with him. His focus definitely, if he was telling his story, wouldn't be these things. And look, we played the shit straight through. The parts that I skipped was about other people. We here to hide it and cherry pick it and say, oh, he did this and he didn't do that. And this is not true. We're not the fucking answers. And we know everything is real. But it's clear that you're emphasizing certain things. Like I said, you didn't say he's a fucking decorated military man. The only person who, Wakil, not my favorite person, but in this instance, it took Wakil to come out and say that, listen, I talked to Dora myself. And he said, Allah was a family man. So, this is what it is. I don't know. I mean, where we at? We'll get a couple more minutes of this in because we can't. This is. I mean, look, this is like you're supposed to do a sequel with this or something, man. So we'll get to this little, let him complete whatever thought he's saying right now, and we'll have to see. We definitely not going to be back on tomorrow. Thursday, of course, as soon as maybe Friday, maybe Saturday, we'll come back. We're gonna pick up again from wherever we leave off right now. But let's dive back in for a minute or two right here and see what Omar Shabazz has. Hey, see this right here on the screen. Like, what is this? This is not Fari's teachers. It's not Elijah's teachers. It's not Elijah's teachers. It's not Malcolm's teachers. Farrakhan's been going up the deep end recently, but I haven't heard about this yet. You know what I'm saying? So, back to this meandering story.
He had a legitimate argument, and he would discover that people who ran cults didn't like anyone asking too many questions and thinking outside the box. The surveillance of Clarence and his followers was nonstop. Everywhere he went, he was followed. His phone was tapped. He was secretly photographed. Agents worked in shifts from dusk to dawn. They waited for him to say something incendiary, something anti-American. They knew of his clashes he had in the past with the police. They knew how influential he was. They feared his leadership power. As far as they were concerned, the government didn't want anyone controlling anything except them. They knew that too many cooks could spoil the soup. There was also some suspicion about Barry Gothera, who worked for Mayor Lindsay. Gothera was assigned by the mayor's office to work with Brother Clarence. Was the mayor's main man on the scene to spy on Brother Clarence? Was he a true supporter, or was he an intelligence gatherer? Some call the 5%ers.
So you kind of contradicting yourself there because, if Barry Goddard is all these negative things and he was sent by the blue-eyed Mayor Lindsay, then maybe we should have been. Listen, shout out to Barry. Not saying that, but I'm just saying that this is, there's going to be some other points that, once he starts to give kind of the other perspective, which you've already seen, in terms of how he portrayed the brother Larry X, right? Larry 4X, right? You're going to see the same. I'm not sure if we're going to get to that tonight, but he does the same thing to Bika. You know what I'm saying? But I digress.
Just another fad. Some call them a secret society of former gang members who developed their own cult, the In Crowd, a spinoff, some said a ripoff from the Nation of Islam, which was already deemed a hate group by white America. Did they pressure the city into giving them 2 schools? What would they ask for next? Whenever a heavy jazz, spoken word, or soulful album came out, Brother Uhuru always wanted to hear what Brother Clarence and Brother Justice had to say, because he knew they would drop some wisdom on him from a different angle he may not have thought about, and he didn't want to miss a thing. After Uhuru introduced the album to them, Clarence would always say, "You know what to do, brother. Put it on the box. Let's break it down and build on it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it." When those militant words from Gil's album bounced off the walls of Clarence's bugged apartment, the boys in the bureau knew that just by what Clarence was listening to, he wasn't passive and under anyone's control. Even though Clarence...
Question. Has anyone seen the lies, the COINTEL profiles? Has anyone seen Allah's COINTEL profiles? Anyone? Just type 1 in the box. Type 1 in the box if you've seen the COINTEL profiles on below. That's what I said. Am I the only one? Am I, am I the only one? All right. Well, look. I just wanted to check with you. But look, I've seen the files. I've never seen this stuff. Just what he's talking about. So I don't know if there's some other files. He's seen some ones that's less redacted than the ones I saw. But if anybody remembers all of this stuff, let me know.
And his 5%ers were under heavy surveillance from the FBI. We can't dismiss the possibility that people in his own organization were also spying on him. There were many hidden hands that played a part in Clarence's demise.
Wait, why you didn't bring up none of these people that was with Malcolm? Why you didn't bring up all the people that they said was suspect that was Malcolm, who was with Malcolm? And what I'm saying is, if one of us is suspect, right? How come we the only ones that don't know this? Like, how come? Look, you had Larry Prescott say, that it was. I mean, look, this could really start a lot of infighting right here, man. Like, first of all, we already got to watch you West Indian niggas. He already told us about y'all. And y'all plot that y'all launched to kill Malcolm X. Now, one of us was doing the spying. Now, I'm not saying that there was nobody. Clearly, if you see those files, you see that there was informants. But this is taking it to another level.
In addition to asking City Hall to provide 2 schools for Black youth, Brother Clarence also asked the mayor's office if they could provide free tickets for the youth to see live performances of great Black artists who appeared regularly at the world-famous Apollo Theater, part of Black culture they needed to experience. Brother Clarence also asked Mayor Lindsay's administration if they could provide and pay for picnics and field trips for 5% of youth. American Airlines kicked in and were flying the Black youth on free 1-hour plane trips. Mayor Lindsay had won the 5%ers' respect. They started calling him Brother John. The young 5%ers heard all the hit songs.
Whoa! When we start using, when we start using, we start calling him Brother John. Does he mean that Allah said that they 5%? Does he mean that Allah said that they is 5%? Brother John. Have you heard about Brother John? Yeah, you got the first 9 born, which I call it, the 23 scientists and Brother John. Is that how this goes now?
By all the Black recording stars, but seeing them perform on stage was an all-new and electrifying experience. When Clarence's young 5% followers saw these professional Black artists walk out onto the stage, they were all blown away by their superb singing, the precise dance steps, the unified sound of live music with great musicians backing up the artists. And when the youth move their bodies in rhythm to the music, it's a miracle. The rows of bolted down theater seats didn't shake loose and come apart. All this was made possible because of Brother Clarence. Brother Clarence was a powerhouse. But hey, there's the rub. He was outshining the Nation of Islam, and they didn't like it. And while great...
See those West Indian, see those West Indian. You see them right there, right? You gotta watch them.
Black artists were belting out their hit songs that radiated out towards the front of the Apollo Theater's entrance. At the back of the theater's entrance, where many of the stars hung out between performances, it was a totally different story. Captain Joseph X. Gravitt started meeting with Brother Clarence at the back of the theater's one-way narrow street in an effort to get Brother Clarence to change up on what he was doing. When Clarence was kicked out of the mosque, he was laughed at and dismissed as a fool. And now he's a respected man in the community. What now? Clarence is now in the position to say, "I told you so." The visit by Captain Joseph wasn't a secret, clandestine, off-the-record meeting with Brother Clarence. He was directed to go out and persuade Brother Clarence to quit while the quitting was good. Much to Captain Joseph's plea, Clarence was not impressed. He was doing his own thing and didn't need anyone's permission. At the time of Malcolm's assassination, Clarence held a grudge against Malcolm because it was Malcolm that approved of Clarence's dismissal from the mosque. The irony.
All right, these last, listen. Laugh, and I never heard of even the brother that was speaking, right? Even the brother Larry 4X, right? He didn't say that, look, that was a laughing stock. That, whatever was the deal, right, of Allah leaving the mosque. He didn't say that, that was ha ha ha. Right? And it's like you have, Allah held a grudge against Malcolm for what happened in that, bro. You have to give us a source. You have to have someone, because see, you showed all of these pictures of you with the people that knew Malcolm, right? You went out of your way to show how, see all these people right here in the pictures with Malcolm. Yeah, I know those people, so I'm speaking on that authority. But who over here told you that? You see, somebody brought this up earlier. This is a dramatization. Because see, even these, I never heard about this. These meetings behind the Apollo right here between Joseph and Allah, I never heard about them. Not saying they didn't happen. But if anyone else has heard about these, you tell us about it. Here's the you care to come on and expand on that. But yeah, I never heard that one. Yeah, this is a little bit, it's kind of random.
Of it all. Time was passing, and Captain Joseph's mission to break Brother Clarence was becoming an epic failure. Joseph's wolf tickets and veiled threats weren't moving Brother Clarence at all. Touted as a tough, fearless captain in the Nation of Islam, Clarence could see right through Joseph's fake militancy. Brother Clarence often turned his back on Captain Joseph when he was making a scene. Captain Joseph, once again, had to report back to Mosque number 7 that he wasn't getting anywhere with Brother Clarence. Captain Joseph was beating his chest and fuming. Nation of Islam members could only appeal to adults to draft into the Nation of Islam. They couldn't approach any black youth. Clarence had that package signed, sealed, and delivered. Black youth were flocking to Brother Clarence like the world was coming to an end. And this is the same guy the Nation of Islam fired and said he wasn't good enough for them. Now all of a sudden, they want to talk things over. Clarence knows that they don't mean him any good. Captain Joseph is still taking the back of the theater approach because he knows it will be a feather in his cap, and he might get up if he can bring Brother Clarence back in, possibly to get him to rejoin the Nation of Islam and make him a minister, bringing with him the thousands of youth he's influenced. Whether Captain Joseph is trying a gentle, soft-spoken approach or having a hissy fit, nothing is working, and he's getting exhausted. He tells himself he might try it one more time. Meanwhile, Brother Clarence's popularity is still growing. Black and
Now, I'm just, I'm asking y'all, does that interaction that he's describing right there, right? Does that coincide with, I don't know how many people was watching yesterday, but does that coincide with the brother yesterday who said that, yeah, one day we are going to have to go back in the mosque? Like, why wouldn't he say to Joseph, well, yo, look, we're gonna do that, but we still got some stuff we gotta handle out here. You know what I mean? But we'll let you know. Keep that seat warm. My son's gonna be there when they ready. Why he wouldn't have said that? See, that's what I'm saying. Because of the way he used the storytelling device without balancing it at the same time, now it starts to sound contradictory.
and Puerto Rican youth are still being attracted to Clarence's 5% Nation. Youngsters are still going on picnics, attending shows at the Apollo Theater, flying on airplanes, and studying hard to become productive citizens. Clarence's program is working big time, but the FBI is still keeping an eye and ear on him. They see him as a potential troublemaker. Some insiders are wondering who will get to Clarence first. Will it be the government, who don't want his message to spread to other cities? Will it be the Nation of Islam, who are jealous of him? Or will it be someone who feels he owes them money? Bad weather didn't stop the FBI from following Brother Clarence. The agents following him worked in 24 hours, 7 days a week, month to month, year to year shifts. All 5%ers were watched. Anyone identified and associating with Clarence who lived in his building at 21 West 112th Street were also watched, photographed, recorded, and had a file on them. For the agents performing all this monitoring, it was just another day in the life. Brother Clarence, on a daily basis, when he was out on the streets, always had several of his followers around him. Some might even call them bodyguards. But he often exited and entered his building alone. Brother Clarence was constantly under the radar. He was very effective with his brand of politics. The side effect would be him being added to the list of rabble-rousers and placed in America's Security Index category. Still bopping around and goose-stepping to intimidate like he was in a real army, with the Nation of Islam's usual my way or the highway attitude, was Captain Joseph from Muhammad's Mosque number 7, trying to twist Brother Clarence's arm again, get him to say uncle, and cry 96 tears, with his usual saber rattling and wolf ticket selling. It all fell on deaf ears. Clarence didn't want to hear any of that shit. And it got to the point where Clarence couldn't even pretend to listen. What Clarence really wanted to say is, man, y'all kicked me out of your nation, and now you're trying to tell me what to do? Who's really crazy?
Bro. Listen, man. Listen. It's just, you can't put words in somebody's mouth that you don't even know. You can't, this is.
Get the fuck out of here. That's what he really wanted to say.
So that's what he really wanted to say. And you know this because
many of the celebrities witnessed the balking Joseph was doing. None of them knew the intricacies and magnitude of the squabble and wouldn't get involved. They had their own issues. And at the same time, they were aware of the Nation of Islam's reputation of only beating up on black people. So they looked the other way. Captain Joseph was the last person the Nation of Islam could have sent to get Brother Clarence to turn in another direction. Clarence knew of Joseph's hypocrisy and heard about him being a heavy hog eater. Eating pork was highly prohibited in the Nation of Islam. To understand,
you call Joseph a hog eater?
the psychology of the Nation of Islam, you have to be a student to understand where they were coming from. This very picture on the cover of Wakil Allah's very important 2-volume book set will give you lots of insight.
Wakil Allah's very important 2-volume book set. Important to who? Listen. Now he's revealing his sources here. Well, not revealing is he was hiding them because he had the Wakil interview in the very beginning. But I'm just saying that, you can see why this is distorted.
For example, I'm quite sure Nation of Islam officials objected to this youth wearing his bow tie, a piece of attire the Nation of Islam felt belonged strictly to them. Brother Clarence also converted a white man into a 5%er. His name was Azrael, and he could recite the doctrine and lessons better than many original firstborn members. This conflicted.
Okay. You have to name that. Yeah, this is Omar Shabazz. Yes, and look, it's funny that you came in, Encyclopedia Brown, because that's what we was just speaking now. Look, he's got to source up on some of this here. he's got to source up here, man. Where's he getting this stuff, man? Listen, as you know, what do you say? You quote 5% doctrine and lessons better than some of the firstborn. See, this is the kind of you see, that's dramatic. That's the more, dramatic way to say it. But just even that in and of itself, right? This is what I'm saying. You don't got to do that. All you got to do is say that, listen, Azriel was 5%. That, when it came to, all of the requirements for you to be a 5%, Azriel checked all boxes. So you ain't got to compare him to nobody else. You ain't got to, you see what I mean? As soon as you do that, bro, that's the Yakub shit. See, that's separating and causing, just for you to say that like that. Azriel is not here to compete with us. Azriel tell you. But this is, look. This is what we get. This is
with the Nation of Islam calling all white people devils. A lot of people were pissed off, to say the least. Clarence took the Nation of Islam's teachings and lessons and turned damn near everything upside down. White devils turning into righteous individuals? White mayors and white people the Nation of Islam declared to be sworn enemies of black people are lending a helping hand? A white man direct from City Hall, who's the mayor's right-hand man, is sent to assist Brother Clarence and black youth in Harlem, New York's ghetto? What in the world is going on? Is this all too good to be true? The Nation of Islam must be embarrassed. They have to be embarrassed. The leader of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, said, all white people are devils, and that their rulership over black people is almost over. Almost over. Almost over. Almost over. If it's almost over, we can lay low. There's no need to protest. There's no need to participate in the civil and human rights struggle. Captain Joseph, there's no need to exercise. No need to study war anymore. You can chill out, lay low. Elijah Muhammad did say, men flying spacecraft will destroy the devils. Brother Uhuru is one of the first to cop jazz great John Coltrane's A Love Supreme album, one of the most mind-elevating, put you in another dimension, heaviest jazz pieces you'll ever hear. And he wants to know what Clarence and two of the other gods have
yes,
to say.
Wait a minute, sir. Who did the Lord your boy do it on the couch for the Lord? Listen, if you're gonna do a documentary about this, you can at least pick people that's 5%. You to have an opinion. Hey, listen, you got a lot B sit here with Lord Jamal. Listen, this program is not really for him, man. I'm talking about this program that you do this kind of editing in, because he's got stuff mixed together here that is just absolutely. Hey, listen, this is that looking shit right here. This is look. This is that shit that Encyclopedia and Brown, they be battling this here, Photoshop pictures and all this stuff.
Say about it. Clarence says to Brother Uhuru, you know what to do, brother. Drop the needle on it. The list of names of the many outstanding artists who performed at the world's famous Apollo Theater is staggering. Song stylist Nancy Wilson has graced the stage, singing grown folks music. Stevie Wonder has played the theater since he was 12 years old. Blues artist Muddy Waters, with his down-home singing and superb guitar playing, has delighted audiences. That family who came on the scene, grabbing everyone's attention, was the Jackson Five. Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye hypnotized both young and old lovers. Screaming Jay Hawkins could put a spell on the audience with his comedic but serious musicianship. and have you screaming for more. The more Captain Joseph pressured Brother Clarence to submit, the stronger it made Clarence's resolve and made him reflect back to the time he saw his favorite singer, Gene Chandler, singing "Nothing Can Stop Me," something Clarence always told himself to get through hard times. Clarence was his own man and a natural-born leader. Brother Clarence wouldn't give Joseph the satisfaction of making him crawl. Joseph couldn't see it even if he looked into a crystal ball. It was going to be good times, and nothing could stop Brother Clarence.
But I'm not playing, 'cause nothing can stop me.
After Malcolm X was assassinated in 1965, one of his close aides, named Charles 37X Kenyatta, formed up with some other positive brothers, a group called the Mau Mau Society, who wanted to stop drugs in Harlem that were devastating the lives of Black people. Charles Kenyatta was one of the small group's leaders. Kenyatta would be shot and critically wounded. It was never revealed on who did the shooting.
You need to take a ride through Harlem and look at the situation. You can't hold back the truth, boy. You can't hold back the truth. Racism and classism is on the rampage in America. No wonder you are getting high off of these various chemicals, because for the first time, you become satisfied. But let me tell you one thing. They have placed the rope with the dope. Did you know that? They have placed the rope with the dope.
3 Black men shot at Kenyatta while shouting out, "Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar," meaning Allah is the greatest. Kenyatta survived the shooting. The next person to be shot down would be Clarence Smith Jowers, the leader of the 5%ers. He was shot in the lobby of the building.
Whoa, who's that? Wait, I thought this story was about Allah. Who's Clarence Jowers? Where did this guy come out? Where did this guy come out of? Where the fuck? Who's Clarence Jowers? Anybody? Who's Clarence Jowers?
That he lived in at 21 West 112th Street. Brother Clarence would not survive.
That's wild, because he lives at the same building as the Lord. I don't, but his name is Clarence Jowers. That is uncanny.
The shooting. The assassin.
And just for the record, that's not how it happened. See all of this with the ducking and covering up? Nah, that's not how it happened. I'm saying that the evidence at the scene didn't show that that's what happened.
Assassination of Clarence Smith Jowers, also known as Clarence 13X, also known as Puddin', also known as Allah, also known as the Father, was physically gone forever, and things would never be the same. The youth who loved him were devastated. The physiognomy written on the face of young Clarence clearly explained it all. Why were our people historically given the short end of the stick? Why were we made permanent underdogs? Who will save us? When is God going to come? A religious group called the Nation of Islam promised Clarence the answers to these questions, so he joined them, hoping the organization would wrap its love around him.
What the hell is he talking about?
The constant assassinations of Black leaders, domestic and foreign, prompted many African Americans to learn the martial arts. For individuals like Dyron Jackson, it was a no-brainer. Turn your entire body into a self-defense weapon. Teach youth and adults. Master the art. A recent visit to the 2nd Street Academy in Ocean Hill, Brownsville, In Brooklyn, New York, martial arts expert Dyron Jackson stopped by the school to do some research about a story he heard about a suspicious fire that the first school was involved in that nearly destroyed it in 1988. Was it a rumor or was it true? The suspicious fire of the street academy called Mecca in Harlem, New York, had two name changes, starting with being called the Urban League Street Academy, and lastly, the Allah School in Mecca. Some research on the fire and an investigation of what might have happened would help our research team to put out accurate information.
Now wait, you just said that this is to put out accurate information. And so you came to a large school in Mecca, had a brief conversation, and then went to Medina to ask about the fire in Mecca. Encyclopedia Brown, I don't know if you're still here. But is that the academic research method there? Is that how we do it? If you're at the place where the event happened, and you go somewhere else to ask about what happened. Imagine that.
But unfortunately for us, the school wasn't open. But we can offer this. On December 6th,
so you didn't get nothing from us, but you can offer this. Encyclopedia Brown, he needs your help. He needs your help. You gotta show him how this is done.
1988, the Allah School in Mecca in Harlem, New York, at 2122 7th Avenue, went up in flames in a suspicious fire. The small one-story building was nearly totally destroyed, bringing a sudden halt to the many programs it offered the community residents. Its breakfast, lunch, and snack program, a day school and after-school tutorial program, a drug rehabilitation center, a GED class, a job readiness program, a senior citizens outreach program. There was also a Muslim girls training and general civilization class that taught proper behavior for young women. Make no mistake about it, the father, Allah, also known as Clarence 13X, was a
This stuff sounds good and all, but what the hell is he talking about?
political force to be reckoned with. The mayor of New York, John Lindsay, visited the academy many times, and he even found employment with the city for Brother Clarence. We located some motion picture footage of Brother Clarence speaking to the popular WNBC4 TV's news reporter, Gabe Pressman, where Clarence can be heard speaking favorably about the mayor's refraining from unleashing the police on black youth during the rebellion over the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Traits, what characteristics does he have that appeal?
He did not give the order to kill my people like it's happening in all other cities. And it was a federal law for anyone that riot or loot. And he didn't give the order.
I mean, by not giving the order to shoot?
That make him he let the people know that their life was worth more than property or material things.
And you think that this has been the big difference in New York?
Yes.
Well, he walks around, he shakes hands with people, he speaks to them, yet he doesn't have the money to do the things that he wants to do. So don't the people feel let down because of that?
No, he let the people know that he does not have the money and where the money must come from. That's the only thing he can do.
So then you have the feeling that he levels with people.
I speak for the 5 assemblyes he do. And so far, he have leveled with the other people. I know that too because I'm not the only one that love him up here.
The same strength in Clarence's eyes he had as a young man was still present, and he still expected the dominant society who brought black folks to a foreign land against their will needed to pay a debt. The expectation was more than reasonable. Brother Clarence needs to be mentioned much more in the story of Malcolm X. It's impossible to avoid.
This is what I'm saying. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. See, this is my point. You're really telling a story. You're mad at the Muslims because of what you feel they did to. But, hey, bro, we're not a part of Malcolm X's story. Like, we don't fit into Malcolm X's story. That's a different story here. They occurred around the same time. Do they have history together? Of course. Right? He's the head minister, right? Where Allah comes into the temple. So of course they have a relationship, right? You know, Allah is not an unknown member of the mosque. But what do you mean he needs to be included more in Malcolm's story as if we don't have our own story? See, here's the thing. Where's Malcolm's sons and daughters? Where's Malcolm's nation? See, our story don't stop in 1965. Our story don't stop in 1969. So, you know, I mean, it's like I said, this is his storytelling device that he used. You know what I'm saying? To try to bring somebody else up as another example. Like, this is another example of how dirty these Muslims are. This is the story that you want to tell. And listen, everything you're saying, that may be the case, man. But look, that's the reason we left. That's the reason we ain't going back. That's the reason we changed our names. That's the reason we changed our flag. That's the reason we're on 126th Street and 7th Avenue, and they're on 127th Street and 6th Avenue. We teach what we teach, and they teach what they teach, man. Our story is a part of, like, come on, man. Look, he did say that. He said there wasn't any archival footage of Allah, but I think what he meant was in terms of him speaking on the Silence of the 5%. But you're right. There is a lot of things in there that, first of all of this wasn't filmed at the same time. You know what I'm saying? He's using excerpts from people who are not talking to him. You know what I'm saying? You're using other archived footage or whatever. So yeah, it ends up being contradictory. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, it's funny, Encyclopedia Brown, because it was in earlier in this, I don't know if he was on there, he says that Allah held a grudge against Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he was basically, you know, expressing that, you know, Malcolm, you know, wasn't what Allah was doing, and Allah held a grudge against Malcolm. And when I heard that, right, word is born, I thought of you, right, and saying, well, listen, why don't we go to these people's own words? Like, listen, we have the autobiography of Malcolm X, where he spoke about how he's seen us. We have people who walk with Allah, right, who heard him speak specifically on how he felt about the Muslims, Elijah, Malcolm, etc., etc. But you just pulled it out the sky. Like, you didn't say, yeah, I got it from this person right here, or that person said that, or you could look at what happened over here and say this happened. No, you just pulled that out the sky instead of using the people's own words. Right? I was like, I say, see, the Encyclopedia Brown got me trained now. I think yeah. He said, did Wakil make up that stuff in his book when he said the father's wife said he left because he did not want to make him a minister? See, Wakil is he gets his versions, he gets his version of events from Muslims. Now, I don't know if Doris said that. You know what I'm saying? That's that yeah. See, because I didn't read Wakil's book. That's actually the first time I heard that. Wait, there's a music video produced by Omar Shabazz called Happy Savior's Day, Malcolm X Tribute by Eric Summers. Yeah, I gotta check that out. Because what do you mean, Happy Savior's Day? Because that's the NOI thing. He put it in his book that he interviewed her, but I don't know if he ever met her. Maybe he talked to her on the phone. I don't know what his story is. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that he always he always was NOI. You know what I'm saying? And him as well, I see him as he sees Allah kind of like if Allah was the head minister of the temple that he went to, but that ultimately they're Muslims. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of what he's done have really been he's trying to almost like restore Allah in Allah's name in the temple. You know what I'm saying? They have a kind of idea like that, like Allah is one of Elijah's greatest ministers. Allah was a part of the advanced fruit of Islam. Well, he was training them. You know what I'm saying? Exactly what was his rank and all of that in there, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I have, heard of him speaking at the rostrum. You know what I'm saying? I'm not exactly sure what is the qualification to be up there. I didn't go out of my way to verify that happened. But he had the lessons. You're supposed to be fruit of Islam to get that. So this is a rap video that Omar Shabazz produced that's aimed at dissing the NOI. See, that's what I'm saying. See, even I mean, yeah, I get his point. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But in some respects, right, he can kind of speak directly to the people you're talking about. Like you just said the names, you know what I mean? You just said, I didn't know, did you know, Second Peter Brown, did you know that Omar Shabazz is FBA? Because earlier in this, he let us know that this was actually Malcolm X actually got killed because Farrakhan, Captain Joseph, and another brother named Maceo, I actually had never heard of him before this right here, right? That they was launching, oh yeah, and another brother named Linwood, right? They was launching a West Indian plot to take over the NOI. And they went to Malcolm, you know what I'm saying that, yo, you know how we do it, man. Yeah, tell him to move and go. Yeah, come on, rocks. And Malcolm was like, nah, man, I ain't with that, man. You know what I mean? I'm rolling with the brothers. So then they launched the plot to kill Malcolm. From right there, you know, I don't know if you heard that one yet. Was you aware? Because see, look, I've been telling brothers they ain't hiding right now. I told everybody that's West Indian here to type 1 in the comment box so we can smoke them out. So far, they scared. They don't want to let us know who they are. But that one right there, look, that one is ready for Clubhouse. Like if I came on Clubhouse and had that topic right there, I have 50,000 followers by tomorrow. I don't know. I think we because you know this thing is ridiculously long. It's 4 hours. It's 4 hours and 17 minutes. We're 1 hour and 47 minutes in. So you know, I think I had enough for the day. I think I had enough. I think that's been enough, man. You know, to drink in. You know, I'm not going to take this one down like yesterday. Alchem Salam, you came in right at the very end here. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we had a first part of the class. You know what I'm saying? We dealt with showing and proving, you know, a little recap right now. You know, what is the difference between dreams and goals, fantasies, and reality? You know what I'm saying? And that difference is action. See, if you have an idea and you want to make that idea go to born, see, the next step is wisdom. And see, that wisdom got to be complete. It can't just be talking. See, if that idea only gets to the point of talking, then that was just a pipe dream. That was you just fantasizing. Or if you have a goal, you have an idea, right? But the idea requires you to be able to fly by flapping your arms. Okay, that's a fantasy because you can't take that action. That action is not in the realm of possibility or probability. See, this is the difference between when we say, listen, we don't deal with no spook God and no mystery God, right? Because what it is that we say that we do it. Who it is that we say that we are, we're that person. See, that's why we deal with arm, leg, arm, supreme, head. Back to that question. Somebody asked that question. Nobody answered it. Look, that's the question for tomorrow now. I might have to do just a short video, but look, for all of those God bodies out there, right? We say arm, leg, arm, supreme, head. For all the God bodies, what happens if you lose an arm and a leg? We didn't get no answers on that. You see, when we say showing improvement, right, and we have this idea in our head, arm, leg, arm, right, is how we express that idea. This is how we make that idea into a reality. Whatever the idea is, from how simple it is to how complex it is. See, like back in the days, right, brothers say, look, move that with your mind. Pick it up with your hand and put it over there. Because the body don't just move by itself. It needs an idea, right? And it needs that motivation. You said, well, I'm taking your question. No, that's an old question. Listen, some of this from time, we've been through that. 16, 17, we was talking about that. See, let me tell you something, man. There's a brother, right? Jamel Freedom. Right? When you come in here and you see the computers, that got to do with Jamel Freedom in the computer room. Jamel Freedom is quadriplegic. I'm dead ass. He cannot move from the neck down. And one day, he sent me a message on Facebook. To this day, I still can't figure out how he did that. You see, that's supreme head right there, bro. Listen. To this day, G, I do not know how he sent me that message on Facebook. See, the God bodies can't do that. We'll see. But at the end of the day, we will go ahead and do each one, teach one, hit the like button, share this on all your channels or whatever, you know what I'm saying, with a couple people. Because I think some other, it's a hard watch, it is. But there probably is some other brothers and sisters that could be interested, in this. You know what I'm saying? And some people may need this kind of test almost, right? Because he's telling you about an Allah, right, that I never heard about, meaning the things that he's saying that this brother did, right? This Clarence Jowers that he's talking about, that, he seems to be putting on us, he doesn't remind me of the same Allah that I know. So do you really know Allah? Do you really know yourself? Do you really know these teachings? Or are you going to fall hook, line, and sinker for this guy's conjecture? See, this is the time where, look, I'm telling you, you better go on Encyclopedia Brown's channel, right? And learn the research, the academic research method, so you can see these little devices that he's using to make you think he know what he's talking about. Because see, he's talking right now. Look, he's going on. You starting to come up to time now. Okay, this is my time. Well, I was there. I know what happened. It's not what you said. So we'll see. Like I said, you know, let's see if maybe Friday in the daytime, maybe we'll get another 30 minutes of this in. You know, like I said, I think I got to like the 2 hour mark and a little bit of change. So in a minute, we're going to be looking at it together for the first time. The last 2 hours, I didn't see it yet. So my reaction would be a little more on the spot. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm signing off to say peace.